guys doing? Who's not good? Who's standard?
Standard.
You standard there.
Wow.
So 1, 2, 3.
Never got past 5.
Well, if you're in school now, you don't get past any standard, just got to pay that. Anyway, today's thinking area, as far as I know, it is fragmentation. Correct. Everybody done their homework? Anybody not done their homework?
Done.
Did you do your homework, Sean?
Yes, sir.
Good stuff. Everybody else?
Done.
Good stuff. Okay, who could see themselves in this thinking area? I need all of you to stand up. There's a reason for it. Who could see themselves in this thinking area? Okay, who couldn't see themselves in this thinking area? Who couldn't? So, then I'm right by saying that every one of you agree that you can see yourself in this thinking area. Because if any of you put your hand up, I would say to you, you're lying. And that's a heavy word and a strong word, because if you look at us that are in active addiction, we don't finish things. There are a few of us that have degrees and a few of us that have accomplished certain things, but I ask you the question, where is it now? Where is it now? So fragmentation is a big thing, and I believe that fragmentation is a big tool of the enemy to stop us from accomplishing anything. He wants us to focus on everything but the thing that matters. We speak about it in class, how the enemy wants to take our focus away from what's important. And we've noticed, for example, when we made a joke a while back where I said that if you say you're going to go visit a friend and you come back a week later, you're going to be a drug addict. You know, at that moment when you said you're going to visit a friend, at that moment you could be honest. You're being honest when you're going to visit a friend, or when you promised a girlfriend or a boyfriend that you're going to stop using or stop doing what you shouldn't. You actually mean it at the time. And I think I've told you another story when I used to leave the girlfriend at the time about 10, 12 years ago. I guess I'm getting old. Getting older. I remember a meeting when I said I'm going to go home, and then getting to Craft Road, turn off, Jet Park, turn off, and going, let me go to doors, we started to Llewellyn, you know. So there's a thinking area in my life, on a personal level, and I can relate to it, because that's what happens. You forget the commitment you made, you justify and say that it's fine for me to go say hello, and the next thing you know, you're walking out at 7 o'clock in the morning, your ears are ringing, and you know you're going to see your girlfriend in about an hour's time, and you try very hard not to look suspicious, but you look damn suspicious. You can brush your teeth, you can shower, you can say, you can look your best, but you're like, you're wired. Very difficult to hide it. What's wrong with you, Ralph? Nothing. What? Did you go home last night? She used to phone me at my house. Okay, I'm going to phone you to the house. Okay, don't phone me at the house. I'm not home. I remember that. Not home. Okay, phone me, it's fine. Don't phone me now, it's too late. My mother and father are sleeping. Or whatever. Okay, fragmentation. See, I'm fragmenting. This is extreme change in the criminal mental state that occurs within short periods of time. It happens very. It's like we tend to be quite spontaneous. It's a nice way of saying that we have no consistency. I'm a very spontaneous person. I like to be spontaneous. No, you're very consistent. But being spontaneous doesn't make you consistent. And consistent is key for change. Key for change. Write that down. Write that down. Have you ever seen what's called it? What's it? Van Wilder. Yeah. The reason I'm writing it down, I've got 5 principles I'll give you at the end of this. That while I was going through the work and praying, it's a principle. You need to be consistent, and if you're spontaneous, despite it sounding really romantic, we've seen those guys when all the girls that say, I really want someone in my life that's really spontaneous. You're asking for help. I must say, it's fine to be spontaneous every now and again. It's fine to do, maybe on holiday, decide to watch a movie. That's fine. But if you continuously being very spontaneous, it means you're being very inconsistent, because I can guarantee you, if you're spontaneous on many occasions, you're not getting anything done. Yeah, you're unstable. Yes, you're unstable. You become unstable. So spontaneous in moderation is fantastic, especially if you start dating for the first time. Very nice to be spontaneous, surprise, pitch up at the work. But if you keep pitching up at the work, you're going to think you're a flipping nutter. Despite it being very spontaneous. There is a pattern of starting something. Every one of us have started something. Okay? All of us have started something. How about rehab? If all of us have started rehab. How many of us are going to finish the right way? Because it's principle, you know that. But we'll get there. There's a pattern of starting something, then changing his or her mind. So you start something, you start doing something, you change your mind. And it's amazing when we change our mind. It's easy. It makes sense to us, man. Okay? It makes sense to us. And we'll say and do whatever we need to do, we'll say to make everybody else agree that while we stop is fine. I think I did N1, N2, Jefferson College 3 years in a row. 3 years in a row. You think I finished it? No, I didn't finish it. I was too busy doing other things. It was fun at the time. Spent a lot of my dad's money at Jefferson College, or good college at the time. I think it's also still pretty good, rather good courses. But you start something and then you have an excuse. Okay, I'll start working. June, July came, and I said I'll continue working. I'll go full time at the restaurant, make money. I'll start again next year, start fresh. And then next year, same thing. June, July, I'll start fresh. The third year, I think I lost it a month and thought, stuff it. Let me just carry on. But that's the thing. We're in a habit of starting something. We're not finishing it. And all of us sitting here have started something that we haven't finished. All of us. All of us have. And some of us have started more things and finished less things. So he goes with whatever he's thinking about at that moment. Whatever he's thinking about at the moment, he goes with it. So as I drive past Crawford or whatever your life is, Jet, I start thinking about Llewellyn. I'll go with that instead of keeping my commitment. I fragment. And I'm sure you can relate, some of you. Especially guys from Benoni. Because the road's here. I'm not with Benoni, it's just Jet Crawford. Forgetting anything that might contradict his current plan. Fragmentation is used to dismiss sentimentality and religion. So when we spoke about sentimentality, and I think last week I spoke about sentimentality. I think what's his name? Tyrone spoke about religion recently. So it shows you fragmentation is part and parcel to the sentimentality thinking of it, because you're committed to saying that I love my wife, I love my daughter, I love my son, and then fragmentation comes in because you have another desire. You forget about what you're committed to. You're committed. It's coming. I commit that I'll finish my program. I commit that I'll do my best. I commit that I'll change my life. And then when something comes up, it falls apart. I had a scenario yesterday. I did a bit of intervention where talking, I finally just walked away. I just realised it's not going anywhere. And you give all this advice, the family's giving advice, the family's there, I'm there, we're talking, and it's clear as day. You can see it from a mile off. But he's so adamant on having it his way that he's not seeing what he needs to see. He's not, he's fragmented. He loves his kid, he loves his girlfriend, he loves all these things, but not seeing that over time he's never committed to it and he needs to do something different. And he refuses to see it. So that's what he can say. So he can say sentimentality. He loves his girlfriend, he loves his kid with his girlfriend, but that his behavior says something different. Not just that person, I'm using as an example, but ourselves included. Because we fragment. We don't stick to commitments. We are unstable on our ways. When they don't fit with our current desires or plans. I wrote here, what makes a successful person? What makes you successful? What will make you successful?
Finishing.
Yeah, finishing, yes, to finish.
Consistency.
Focus, yes, God. Okay, on, what else? What else makes you successful?
Perseverance.
Perseverance, okay, come on.
Character.
Character is developed over time, and character will be developed through the 5 or 4 things that I mentioned before. Because as you're persistent, as you're consistent, as you focus, as you finish what you're supposed to do, it develops character. See, character, you're not born with character. You develop character. You're not born with character, you have to develop character. And you find a lot of times, and I can tell you one thing, the worst place to try and develop character is an addiction. You develop more personality than a character. You become quite a personality as such. You'll have these extreme sides to you. Some people might enjoy it, some people not. But there's genuinely no character in the dysfunctional behavior. Genuinely no character. Because character it comes from being persistent. It comes from being consistent. It comes from finishing. I wrote a few down here. It comes from being stable. It comes down to taking advice and listening. It comes down to allowing consequence in your life. To learn your lesson. A lot of times we tend to try and manipulate the consequence. For example, I promised that I would go home, and then I don't go home. Now she wants to break up with me, the situation I had yesterday, because I've messed up, and then I go on and on and on and on. I refuse consequence. I refuse the thing to happen. And at the end of the day, you know how many times we would have learned a lot quicker if the consequence or what should have happened took place. You know what a different place we could be in right now. And it's not our family's fault, it's not our parents' fault, it's our fault. Because we refuse it. We refuse it. We refuse the consequence. We duck and dive the consequence. So there's certain principles we need to live by. So what makes a man successful? These principles: focus, process, knowledge. Knowledge can make a person successful. But then you go as far as I've spent some time with some of my guys this last week, and I've mentioned it, that knowledge is power. Not really, because if you don't apply it, it's nothing. It's just lying. So a person that becomes successful is a person that starts applying the knowledge that they have. We've got knowledge. Sitting in front of me, there's tons of knowledge. We always something to say, like something, or an idea, something should work. But how many of us apply that knowledge? Think about it. It's the knowledge you have right now, the ability you have right now. If you were applying it, would you be sitting in these chairs? Okay, some of us are different. Some of us apply it in our dragging, some of us do. We do apply it. We do apply it. So applied knowledge is power, not knowledge. Remember that. Develop a perspective that will give continuity to life. Stop and check our current plans against guiding principles before acting. Luke 14:28. Coming back to what I just said, stop and check our current plans against guiding principles before acting. I like what he says, guiding principles. Principles comes up a lot in recovery. Principles are very important, but this is what I believe what they're saying here is this in Luke 14:28. It says, "For which of you, he's speaking to us, wishing to build a farm building does not first sit down and calculate the cost, whether he has sufficient means to finish it." What's important to finish it. So make sure that you're operating according to principle. If you're not operating according to principle, you'll commit to building something or doing something, you will not finish it. That's what it says that you must check out your current plans, what you're planning to do against guiding principles before acting. So what happens while you're committing to something? You said you're going to build a farmhouse, and now you decide to go visit the women, or you decide to go visit the chick, or you decide to go get drugs. Understand it's an effect what you've promised to build. And the principles fall by the wayside. Integrate thoughts, words, and actions. Learn to weigh out conflict instead of dismissing facts. Let's hear it. Learn to weigh out conflict. What conflict do you think they're talking about? Physical conflict between you and your girlfriend, or between you and your wife? What type of conflict do you think they're talking about?
Mental conflict.
What's going inside yourself? Emotional conflict. That's how I read it. That's how I understand it. It says, look at it carefully. Learn to weigh out conflict. Learn to weigh out conflict instead of dismissing facts. What facts are they talking about? The commitments you've made, the promises you've made, the things you said you're going to do, the things that you started doing. Those are the facts. The facts are that you've committed to it. You got a hand up in there, or you just wave? You must focus on Kalina. Let's see what they're talking. You understand? You've committed. You must understand. These are the facts. The facts are that you've made a promise. The facts are your yes is your yes. Your facts are that you said no to doing something. Those are the facts. So when you have this internal conflict, you've got to say to yourself, what's more important? The principle or the way I feel? What is more important today? It's supposed to be, yes. Like I said, we've got all the knowledge here. We can give the right answers sitting here. We can say the right things in the philosopher's lounge and when we're discussing things. We can say the right things, but do we do the right things? Do we? We allow this inner turmoil, this fighting, this inconsistency, the very thing that caused us to sit in these seats to continue while we're even in a rehab. We allow that to happen. And we justify it. We make excuses of why it's fine. Why it's fine not to live by principle. Yesterday I was doing group and I was just heavy on principle. The listening principle and guidelines and boundaries, and all of us, if you go back to your life, I think most of us have come to a place in our life where we stopped or we decided to start changing our lives around, and it's lasted a certain period of time, right? Most of us have. And then something goes wrong. If you look at it, you'll see that you dismissed, you allowed this inner conflict to take place. And you allowed the inner conflict to go over the facts. The fact is that you can't do that anymore. The fact is that you can't go there anymore. These are the facts. And we allow this justification. I spoke to someone recently and they're doing well. And I asked them, they said to me they went to visit a friend recently. I said, who's the friend? No, it's just a guy that smokes weed now. Well, the good news is he did it. He did it. But I mean, what is he doing there? You're not this inner confidence, emotional, like you're such a nice guy, good enough so well, it's fine. No, it's fine to go sit there. You know, you can go sit there 2 or 3, maybe never touch it, but the day will come when you're going to touch it. Or decide, you know what, that's crap, you want to get the other one. That's what's going to happen. You fragment, you fragment in the sense of these are your guidelines, and you decide, I feel like this now. I feel like doing this now. I don't see why I should have this rule, or why I should have this plan. Let me do this now because right now it does make sense, and you renege on your commitment. You renege on your commitment. When you do a reintegration, or when you do anything, you make a commitment to your counselor, or you love it, it's a commitment. Understand? Word commitment. If you look, what does commitment mean to you? But it doesn't seem to it a lot of the times. A lot of times we've reneged on our commitments. We fragment. Sentimentality. Religion. It pushes everything aside. Understand something? You must do everything or anything you can for the sake of your recovery. Anything you must for the sake of your recovery. If it means your recovery, you need to do it. If we were extreme for using, and extreme for joining, and extreme for doing bad things, then why can't we be extreme in our recovery? Why? Why can't we be extreme? Why can't we go the extra mile in our recovery? What's your excuse? What is my excuse? Scriptural application. God is a finisher. All of us here, we are children of God. So guess what we should be doing? We should be finishing. Imagine when God said, He said He began creation one day and finished it on the 6th day. Imagine He decided on the 2nd day, you know what? No, I'm sort of chill. We might have had a 9-day week, I don't know. But He did it. No, He just continued and continued. He finished. He started something and He finished something. He finished it. I watched the inspirational clip recently. And they were talking about people that are successful at, yes, you're right, finishing. I think you mentioned. And this finishing is very important, and this is what the thing comes down to, is finishing. Just make sure you finish what you start. Make sure you complete what you start before you move on to anything else. It's very important. But he said the same thing. He says, when you put goals down, when you put your priorities for the day, I have the habit sometimes doing, I've got priorities and I'll do like 3 things at once. And maybe, unfortunately, I'll finish the 1. So I've got to actually on purpose, just focus on this thing. And he says, people that are successful are people that, when they have tasks to do during the day, they focus on that one thing, they finish it. So if they've got 10 tasks, even if they don't finish all 10, they finish. They finish 1, 2, they finish it. Because then you move what is left to the next day, and the next day. But you're always finishing. So you might not finish all your tasks of the day, but you're getting something done. Whereas what we do is we've got the 10 to do, we try and do all 10 at once, we finish none of them, and then the next day there's 20 of them, the next day there's 30 of them, the next day there's 40 of them. And it becomes like a big elephant. And we don't do anything, because we're fragmenting every day. And that's one of the most important keys they said in this video, is to just do small, not big, small menial tasks every day, but complete it. Complete it. So you have menial tasks here at the center. Menial things to do. Things you've got to get done. Even maybe personal things you need to do, like homework. Okay? Even if it's difficult, finish it. Make a plan and sit down and finish it. If there's a fantastic movie like, I don't know, whatever movie you guys like, but, and you know, try, work on that principle and say, yes, I'd love to watch the movie, because what we normally do say, well, finish after the movie. Then the movie finishes later, and then we don't finish it, and then the next day it's church, and then oh, I know, you know, I might only see my counselor on Thursday anyway, so I'll leave my homework until, and then he calls you on the Monday. Why are you laughing, Norman? Why are you laughing? Anyway, Christ is the finisher. It says that Christ. So God is the finisher, and then Christ is the finisher. Imagine Christ in the God in Gethsemane saying, look here, I'm not going to do this. Even on the cross, he made a statement, it is finished. It is finished. Tetelestai. It's a comment. Tetelestai. It is finished. So he made a statement where the last things he said was, it is finished, it is done. And yeah, we're running around thinking to change our lives. We can't even finish making our beds. Or we can't even finish getting to work. No? Leave to work and you don't work. And we come home later on, I'm sick. When he hung on the cross, he said, it is finished. John 19:30. Paul the Apostle wrote 2/3 of the New Testament, made a statement. He said, I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. I believe every one of us that are here have a course to run. And I must be honest with you, I really desire, one day when I leave this earth, when I pass away, when my body I'd love to be able to do what I've heard Lester Summerall's done, what Paul the Apostle, King David done something similar, a lot of people, and Moses did something similar. He knew when he was going to pass away, he knew he'd finished what he had to do. He knew it. So when he went to bed, and when he went up to the mountain, they never found his body. He knew his time, his race had been run, he knew he had finished what he needed to finish. And I believe that God can offer every one of us that same thing, that we can come to a place in our lives where we know we have finished, we've run the race we're meant to run. Imagine how satisfying it is. I used to attend a church in Johannesburg, Christian Family Church, the main building, Elephantine, before we moved to the bigger building. And I remember hearing Pastor Theo speak that he had the encounter with a guy called Lester Summerall. And he was in the room with him, and he apparently made a statement that he said that he started writing like a letter, like a Paul Leader, and he just said that he's finished, he's done what he needs to do. See, he was like one of the last people to be with this guy. And then he passed away. He was talking, he said, I'm finished, I'm done. I've done what I'm supposed to do. And then he left. For me, that's awesome. Right? It is finished. Imagine before you're on your deathbed, you haven't finished this, you haven't finished that, you haven't finished anything. You're like, oh no, I'm not finished, but my body won't go anymore. That sucks, man. It will suck properly. It's heavy, man. That's crazy. I've kept the faith. 2 Timothy 4 verse 7 says, Paul was a finisher. And he has a big statement. All responsible people are finishers. All responsible people are finishers. Us in recovery and us trying to change our lives around, one of the most important factors and principle, one of the biggest principles for me as well, is being responsible. Remember, responsible, you break the word of responsible, it's the ability to respond. The ability to respond. Every one of you has the ability to respond. When we're in full-blown addiction, we abdicate our ability to respond. We stop responding. We know we're supposed to take our kids to school, we know we're supposed to save the money for rent, or we know we're supposed to go to work, we know we're not supposed to do that or this. What do? We abdicate the responsibility, we stop taking responsibility. So now when you come to rehab, you start taking responsibility. And you cannot get rid of the fragmentation thinking error if you don't start being responsible for what you need to do. And stop making excuses and not focus. Says here, so can I be intense and say to you that if you are not a finisher, that you're irresponsible? Can we say that about ourselves? If we're not finishing what we're supposed to, we are irresponsible. Hebrews 12 verse 2 says, looking unto Jesus, that author and finisher of our faith. Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. If we are born again believers, I guess who finishes is Jesus. You can't start with Jesus, not finish with Jesus. A lot of times when we come to rehab and we end up with Jesus and we start believing in Jesus, and when we leave we stop believing in Jesus, we stop going to church, we stop reading our Bible, we stop praying, and we're like, oh, what's happened now? So we're not finishers anymore. We become irresponsible. Who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross. Can you imagine that? He endured what he had to endure because he knew there was joy set before him. Other day I was making up my kids' beds. I got these bunk beds, and it's a flipping mission. It's what a mission to do those beds. So, obviously, the wife, I think I'm actually still a bit bigger than her. No. But, so I'm trying to help. And I remember I have to stand on the bed, and I'm scared I'm going to break the bed because of my weight. So I stand and I lean over, somebody's walking, leaning over to hook the things in so it looks neat and tidy. And I think, yes, what a flippin' mission. And in that moment, I remember thinking to myself, but this is a process I need to go through to finish that. So you will start. Sometimes we don't enjoy the process. We don't enjoy this middle part. But if you can on purpose cause your mind to think that this is a process, I need to get the desired effect, it's a lot easier to finish. So you need to on purpose do it. Otherwise I would have still stuff that, man. No, really, something simple. Simple things. You understand? It's simple things. Just start finishing simple things. Just start going through the process for simple things. You can go to bigger things. If you guys go to the gym and start benching 140 kilograms, can you do that? Yeah. Anybody able to do that right now? 140 kilograms? Anybody here? So something you might desire to 140. Can you do 140?
135.
Almost there, but you didn't start at 135. You didn't start at 135. You have to you progress. So we don't enjoy that middle part, and sometimes that's what fragmentation does. Or one of the tools fragmentation has in our lives is that it causes you to think that that's more desirable than the commitment you make. You don't realize when you sacrifice this commitment, for this desire, that it causes a lot more damage in your soul than running after this thing, getting quick satisfaction. A lot more damage in your soul. You've heard of Dr. Caroline Lynch. Yeah. She speaks about that when you start your brain, if you look in the brain, you see these trees in your brain. Have you seen your brain? Like, picture your brain, you see these trees. It's like willow trees. You've seen these willow trees. So what that is, that's thoughts, apparently. And what happens is if they're hanging, like if they look like weeping willows, if they're hanging, it means there's something you started, you never finished. Did you know that? It means you started something, you haven't finished it. And the more you ingrain or the more you practice something, and let's say schooling, let's say grade 1 in your brain, you'll see grade 1 is enforced. So it spreads up like this. Let's say you didn't finish something, it hangs down. It's not enforced, not reinforced. What do you prefer strong trees, or do you prefer weak trees? So imagine that's what you do. So every time you don't finish something, you have all these little blotches in your brain where you haven't finished stuff. It's just hanging. Okay? Do you like it? But the good news is you can remove it and you can reinforce it. But it'll take effort, it'll take process. You need to stop the fragmentation. And while you're in this place, you have the opportunity to finish menial tasks. Listen to me now. The small foxes destroy the vine. It's on the song. It says the small foxes destroy the vine. This big thing that comes in and involves it. These small things you leave unattended. The small promises, or the small promises that you decide to break, are the things that are causing problems in your life. So start committing and start keeping. For example, I'm going to come and finish a program. Finish it. Come hell or high water, finish it. It's good for you. But you don't understand. Anything for the sake of your recovery. Oh, damn, I said to the guy, I'm going to come in tomorrow and I don't feel like going. Something simple, eh? You can phone your friend and say, I'm not going to come, they might understand it. But you know what's better for you? Not for them, for you, is to keep to commitment. It's better to finish. It's better. So start with small things. Start finishing small things and build on those small things that you finish. And watch how your life starts changing. Stability, very important. James. James chapter 1. You know the scripture very well. How many of you have written out James? None of you. No one's written out James. No, yes. It's the Afrikaans version of your own here.
Yeah.
Okay. So read from James 1, verse 5 to 8. It says here, if any of you is deficient in wisdom, then ask of the giving God. Reading out the Amplified if you're wondering why it's so amplifies what's been said. Who gives to everyone liberally and ungrudgingly without reproaching, fault finding, and will be given him. Only it must be in faith that the one who asks with no wavering, no hesitating, no doubting. For those who waver, hesitate, doubt is like the bellowing surge of the sea that blows hither and thither and tossed by the wind. For truly did not such a person imagine that he will receive anything he asks from the Lord. For being as he is, a man of two minds, hesitating, dubious, irresolute, he is unstable, and what is unreliable and uncertain about everything he thinks, feels, and decides. Huh? Read the Bible, it's like all cushy. He's unstable in all his ways. This Bible goes a bit further. Let me say it again. This is what happens when you don't stick to what you focus. Don't believe in what you promised. Because you don't believe in what you promised. Don't believe in what you said. How do I know? Because you're not doing it. So if you believe that what you said to your girlfriend when you're going home, you would have gone home if you really believed what you said. Because the Bible says it and it tells you in the Bible's a principle. The Bible speaks of principles. So no matter how you feel about it, no matter how you justify it, no matter what your intention is, it is what it is. It says here that I just lost my place. I was into it now. There we go. For being as he is a man of two minds, hesitating, dubious, irresolute. Man of two. So you made a commitment, you irresolute. It says here, he is unstable. He is, not he may be unstable. It wasn't my intention. He is unstable. It's she as well, by the way, ladies. Please don't get too excited. And unreliable. And unreliable. Who likes to, you don't trust me anymore. What's wrong with you? You don't trust me. Hello? Have you ever had that fight before? You don't trust me. Because it says unreliable and uncertain. About what? Watch this. About what? Now, you think it's just that or that detail, eh? A little bit of detail. Principles is you're uncertain in anything. You are uncertain in everything you think or feel. So now think about something and feel something right now. If you haven't started practicing finishing, or started practicing finishing what you start, guess what? Whatever you're thinking and feeling right now is unreliable. Yes, that's the way. That's it. I like the way I should have recorded it. Unreliable, show the picture. It's just thinks, feels, and decides. Thinks, feels, and decides. So when we come here now and we say, look, I know that I'm over the drugs, I'm over the alcohol, 2 weeks in, I just know I'm never going to do it again. Well, your track record says that you're unstable in all your ways because you keep changing your mind. You've been in different rehabs, you've made many commitments, you have a relationship for the last 3 years, and the same things happen over and over again. So whatever you're saying right now tells me you should actually see yourself, look in the mirror, and realize, sure, the way I think, feel, and decide, it's not reliable. It's not reliable. I need to change. I can't rely on what's going on right now. I need to change. I first have to start practicing stability, start practicing listening, start practicing finishing, start practicing responsibility. When I start practicing those things, then those things I feel, decide, etc., can start becoming more reliable because I know what it's about. I know that those are attached, and my reference point is not the feeling or the decision, it's principle. So the way I feel right now, is the way I feel right now going to cause me not to finish what I've started? Yes, it's going to cause me not to finish what I start. So what do? Go with your feeling. Go with your decision. Go with your decision. Go with your understanding. No, if it's interfering in principle, you don't go against it. You don't go against it. And sometimes that is extremely hard. Extremely. It says in 2 Timothy 4 passage verse 8 says that Paul finished, he had a crown of righteousness which the Lord would give him. In Hebrews 12 passage, Jesus sat down at the right hand of the throne of God when he finished. There are rewards in being a finisher. There are rewards in being a finisher. I like using this, and I think I freaked a few people out of this, but let me tell you, whatever decision you make will be challenged. It's life. It's life. If you decide now you're going to university, you get a doctor's degree, yes or no, that's a big challenge. Things will go wrong. No? Things will go wrong. If you decide to walk, let's say you decide to cycle from here to Clarence, you're a fitness freak, and for it to rain, and when it rains you get upset. It's life. That's what we do. We get upset because it's raining. I remember years ago I went to Boxford Counts. Never got anywhere, but I used to train and hopefully become an Arsenal player. And I remember quite a few of us, Richard and them all there. You have the hand pitch up there. Guys, never go and some of you might know. So, as long as he understands. No, I'm joking. But anyway, it started raining then. It started raining. There were the 2 rows, running, and then whatever we were doing. And I remember the 2 guys in front of me were discussing how they're going to go to gym. It's going to rain now when they go to gym. When they go to gym, we started about gym. We're not going to do soccer practice tonight when they go to gym because it's raining. I think one of the coaches caught the hearing. And they came down. Came down saying that I couldn't actually see the people in front of me anymore. But do you think we stopped training? No, we didn't. We didn't stop training. But I can tell you one thing, those years, one of the better teams in our country, in the whole. Because they finished. Because they pushed, they went through. We get a few drill, a few drops in our heads and we freak out. Jock, it's raining. Psalm 15 verse 4. Verse 4 is where I want to get to, but I'll read the whole psalm. It's quite a good psalm. It says, Lord, who shall dwell temporarily in your tabernacle? Who shall dwell permanently on your holy hill? It's asking a question, who? It says, he who walks and lives uprightly and blamelessly, who works righteousness and justice, and speaks and thinks the truth in his heart. He who does not slander with his tongue, nor does evil to his friend, nor takes up a reproach against his neighbor, in whose eyes a vile person is despised. But he who honors those who fear the Lord, who revere and worship him, that's what I want to get to, who swears to his own hurt and does not change. Do you understand that? The person that makes a commitment, and no matter how much it takes from him, he sticks to his commitment, he does not change. Jesus made a commitment when he came to this earth to die for our sins. And no matter what was done to him, no matter how he was beaten and how he was treated and how they turned him, he did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong. We've done things wrong. We've done things wrong. We've missed it. We've hurt people. He never did anything like that. And he stuck to his commitment to the Father. He stuck to it. Another one. Matthew 26, verse 41. This morning I was listening to one of the, I think TBN, and Matthew was walking around the flat, and at one point they spoke about Sarah, and I go, Sarah, because obviously his sister's going to be Sarah, so he was very excited. Talk about Sarah giving birth, and she said, there's Sarah. And then he walks away. As he walks away, he's busy to do something with his toy on the ground, and they say, go to Matthew 26, verse, oh, Matthew! He was very excited that Matthew, he's excited. And I found Ethan in the Bible as well, so I had to show Ethan, but I had to show my son, other son as well, that his name's also, don't worry. No, I never chose him according to that type of thing. Or maybe I did, I don't know. What did I say? Matthew 26.
21.
That's cute. 26:40 with war. 41. All of you must keep awake, give strict attention, by cautious and active, and watch and pray that you may not come into temptation. The spirit in you is willing, but the flesh is weak. Understand? Your commitments, you're willing, but if your flesh, if you've been feeding your flesh for the last 3 years, 2 years, however long you've been in addiction for, who's going to be strong, your flesh or your spirit? Your flesh will be strong. So what must you stop feeding? Stop feeding the flesh. Because you must stop feeding its desires. And I say, what? Your mind, when you come into here, what is your mind geared towards? Looking after who? The spirit or the flesh? So your desires, your decision making, your emotional capacity is geared to what? You're looking after your flesh. So if you come here and you throw your toys at the cart and you argue, etc., despite, even if you're being 100% right in what you're saying, understand your soul is geared to looking after your flesh. You have to on purpose change how it works. On purpose. You have to on purpose. Like I said, when I was doing the bed this morning, simple example, something very simple, that it was a mission to lean and my stomach's in a way, it was a mission. And I just on purpose go, wait, well this is the problem. This is what I need to go through to get there. This is what I need to go through to get there. That's how you start feeding your spirit. When you start going according to principle. Because if I want to finish it, I need to do this. Where in the past it would be a mission, you'll do it later, you'll procrastinate, and understand, you are geared that way right now. It will take time. It says that you must renew your mind. No, your teacher can't, your mother can't, your dad can't, your kids can't, no feeling, no desire will renew your mind. It's an effort and it will be a process. It will be a process. So allow the process. Stop fragmenting. Even in the simplest things. Stop making excuses of why you don't have to finish what you started. Stop making excuses. Start with that. Stop making excuses for why you're not finishing. Stop making excuses to why you're not listening. Stop making excuses to why you're not being. Stop making excuses. Live by the principles and watch how God changes your life. All you've got to do is abide by the principles. That's all you do. Just stay in this boundary. Just stay in this area. Just stay there. It can be anger, it can be sore. But I promise you won't die from emotional soreness, man. But the emotional soreness is when you're thinking about it. So when you're perceiving it, that's causing that pain. So change the way you're thinking. You will have the ability to change the way you think. It takes time. Amen. Okay, now you guys. Father God, I want to thank you for all the lessons that you've blessed us with in these classes, Lord. I thank you for the wisdom that's spoken from these pages, Lord. I thank you that not only Are we able to read it, Lord? Are we able to understand it? Are we able to apply it, Lord? Are we able to live it, Lord? I thank you that we didn't have to do this in our own strength. We relied on our own strength most of our lives, Lord, but I thank you that we have your grace that is upon our lives, Lord, and that we can do all things